Hello everyone, this is BREANNA RUTTER, author of the book The Natural Hair Bible and founder of HowToBlackHair.com. And for this style, I will be teaching you how to do tree braids on your very own hair. There are two different ways you can do the tree braids hairstyle. One option are individual tree braids, and the other option are cornrow tree braids. I will specifically teach you how to do cornrow tree braids on your own hair. So the following materials you will need to achieve this hairstyle will be 5 packages or bundles of braiding hair. You will also need a wide tooth comb for detangling your hair, a rat tail comb for parting your hair, duck bill clips to keep your hair sectioned, hair cutting scissors, a blow dryer, a paddle brush, and then for styling you will also need bobby pins and hair ties. So once you have all of your supplies ready, in the next step, step number 2, I will teach you how to do the cornrow tree braiding technique step by step. Welcome to step number 2 of the cornrow tree braiding hairstyle. In this step, I will be teaching you step by step how to do the cornrow tree braiding technique. Before we begin, I want you to know that this style is an advanced hairstyle. You first have to know how to cornrow braid with extensions to be able to do this look effectively. If you already know how to do so, learning this style will become pretty easy to you. But if not, be sure to check out HowToBlackHair.com to purchase the cornrow braiding DVD. In that DVD, I will teach you how to cornrow braid with and without extensions. So in order to prepare for braiding our hair, I will first show you how to pre-section your pieces of hair to feed into your cornrow braid. And then I will show you how to part and section your real hair in preparation for the cornrow tree braiding technique. The very first thing that we're going to do is pre-section our braiding hair. When sectioning your pieces, aim to section about 10 to 15 identical pieces of extension hair. This will ensure that your braid will look identical and you will have just enough hair to feed into your braids. When you first start braiding, the braids that are closer to your ear are a little bit shorter in distance than the braids are in the middle of your head. So it's okay to measure more pieces if you need so. We're going to measure about 10 pieces because our first braid is usually the shortest braid of distance across our head. So what you're going to do, you're going to pinch off a very small amount of extension hair and you're going to pinch off about 10 pieces. It's very important that you already have experience with braiding with extension hair so that you have a feel for the consistency that you need per piece of hair. So depending on the size of your braid, if you're braiding small, medium, or large size braids, you're going to pinch off a piece of hair accordingly. So my braids are going to be demonstrated in a span of about small to medium, so I'm going to pinch off a very small amount of hair. You want to pinch off a little less hair than what you would do if you're doing a cornrow braid. So if I'm doing small cornrow braids, I will usually pinch off about this much hair. But you want to pinch off less than that because this style can look very full very fast. So pinch off less than what you typically would per braid size, and that will serve as your piece of extension hair to feed into your cornrow braid. Once you've pre-sectioned your pieces of braiding hair, you will now begin to part your hair for your very first cornrow tree braid. When you've sectioned your pieces of braiding hair, you've already determined the size braid that you want. So if you want small, medium, or large size cornrow tree braids, make sure you've sectioned your hair accordingly. So as we begin parting, you want to make sure to part a thin or small rectangular amount of hair at the very back of your head. So from one side of the back of your head to the other side, you're going to part a straight line and that section of hair will look like a rectangle. That rectangle will be split in two. You will have a braid here that meets to the middle of your head at the very back, and then you will have a braid on this side that meets to the middle in the very back. The reason why you're going to part your hair for those braids is because when your style is finished, you will be able to pull all of your hair up into a ponytail while also concealing the very back of your head. So first, we're going to part a rectangular amount at the very back of our head and braid that hair to keep it preserved until the very end. And then you're going to part your very first braid here on the right side of my head is where I will be demonstrating to show you how to do the cornrow tree braiding technique. When doing your cornrow tree braids, certain braids will have hair that flows in a downward direction. So the very first braid you're going to braid closest to your ear on the right side of your head, the braid you're going to braid closest to the left side of your head, and the two braids that you're going to braid in the back, when you add the extension hair, the hair has to flow downward only on these two immediate braids and the two braids that will be braided in the back. Remember, the two braids that will be braided in the back will start from one side of the ear to the other, and the braid will come towards together. So this is a braid and this is a braid. You just want to start at both points in the back of your head. This braid will flow in this direction, and then this braid will flow in this direction. So make sure that on those two back braids and these two side braids, just one here and one here, that when you add the hair, it flows downward. The same in the back, all of the hair should flow downward. So when the style is finished, you can put it all up into a ponytail and the hair will conceal the braids even more. So as I do this very first braid here on the right side of my head, I will show you how to do the tree braiding technique so that all of the hair will flow downward. So once you've done this braid, and those two braids with all of the hair flowing downward, the rest of your braids on your head will have hair that alternately come out of both sides of the braid. Also, when any of your braids leave your scalp, make sure to take out pieces of hair along the ends to conceal the braid even further. So I'm going to demonstrate with the very first braid how to specifically do on your both side edges in the back. I will be showing you on my first braid here. So you start off by cornrow braiding with extensions. This is an advanced style. So as you cornrow braid with extensions, you will then add pieces of hair along the way. So I'm going to grab my first section of hair and I'm going to prepare it in my hands just like I do a cornrow braid with extension. I pinch off a third from the 2/3 of the hair. I separate it. I wrap the third that's smaller around the bigger portion of hair, and I position the hair in my fingers to begin braiding. This is a very small amount of hair because my braids are going to be medium to small size. So if your braids are bigger, you're going to add more hair according to what you like. So now I'm just going to begin braiding. As you're braiding, you want to make sure that your section is already parted as you see here. And you want to make sure if you want the braid very close to your hairline, that you pinch off a very small amount of hair there at the beginning of your section. If you want your braid to go back further, pinch off that point at where you want the braid to start. I want the braid to start here, so I'm going to pinch off a very small amount and begin braiding. You're going to braid about 3 to 5 times until your right hand is free so that you can feed hair into your braid. So first, just start braiding. So I've braided 5 times. I don't want the braids to go too far back, so braid as infrequent as possible. If you want the braids to go further back, then you can stop at a certain point and add hair. So I just wanted to make sure I braided enough, which was 5 times to release my right hand. And when I add a piece of extension hair, I'm gonna grab it underneath my index finger. So now I'm gonna grab my next section of hair. And you're going to make sure to grip this hair very tightly so that you can grab all of the hairs and you don't have shedding happening with your style. So insert all your fingers through the hair with your thumb on the outside. Take your index finger out like so, or put your index finger through the middle. Wrap your fingers around, holding it very tightly. Insert your thumb to make sure the hair is very tight against your fingers so you can grab all of the hair. So this is how the hair will look in your fingers. Now I'm going to take that section that's right in the middle where there's space for me to grab, and I'm going to place that up towards my head, and I'm going to pinch that area with the index finger of my left hand. So as you can see, I just braided enough to free my right hand, and now I'm going to go underneath this strand of hair. There's hair that's going to hang over your finger. You want to go right in front of it and then hook it underneath the index finger. So you just pinch it with your index finger and let go. The hair that's closest to your face here, that's more forward, will go over your head. You're going to braid about 3 to 5 times to release your right hand again. And then you're going to hook on another strand of hair. The same technique applies. This strand will hang over your finger naturally. You want to add your next strand by going directly in front of this strand here. So you're going to hook right underneath that index finger. So I'm going to grab the next section. Locate the middle of that hair. Leave my index finger through the opening. Wrap the rest of my fingers around very tightly. So that way when I insert my thumb through, I create a very tight amount of space to grab the hair. So now you're going to add it into your braid, and you're going to make sure to go in this way. So the hair is over your finger naturally from the braid. You're going to go in forward, and you're going to hook your index finger on that portion of hair that's in between your thumb and your index. So you're going to grab that hair and then let go. The hair that's more forward, closer towards your face, will go over your head. And you can always use your clips to prevent this hair from falling down. So you're just going to braid a couple more times, about 3 to 5 times, in order to free your right hand again and grab another section. So as you can see, you're just going to pinch it underneath your index finger. Then you let go with your right hand. The hair that's more forward toward your face will go over your head. Then you're going to braid a couple times. To test to see if the hair has been added correctly, drop all of your strands that you've been adding to make sure they're all flowing downward. So as you can see there, all of the 3 strands, 1, 2, 3 that I've added, is flowing in a downward direction. So that way when you want to wear a ponytail, you can lift up the hair to conceal your braid. So for now, put that back over your head and continue the same technique to complete your braid. When I taught you how to braid your very first cornrow tree braid, I also went ahead and braided more braids on my hair. So as you can see, my hair is almost finished, and I'm going to show you once again how your braids need to look. So as I've stated before, you have to make the hair flow downward on your first braid on your right side, your left side, and then the 2 braids in the back of your head as well. So as you can see here, if I push the hair up, the braid is intact, and all of the extension hair that I was adding into the cornrow braid is flowing downward. As you leave the scalp, you want to alternate by taking out pieces of hair on both sides of your braid. This is going to be done with all of your braids, but just with the first braid, all of this hair here on the scalp has to flow downward. So now I'm going to show you how it looks in the very back. The same technique that you've done on your first braid has to also apply, so that when you want to wear your hair into a ponytail, it will conceal your braids. So as you can see here, I have 2 braids in the back. One starts on this side and another starts on this side. And then they both come toward each other, but they're 2 separate braids. And then as you leave the scalp, make sure to alternate leaving out hair on both sides of your braid. So because the hair is all flowing downward, when you're ready to put it up into a ponytail, it will conceal your braids. So once again, I'm going to show you the cornrow tree braiding technique. Remember, with your first braid, when you fed in the pieces of extension hair, all of the hair had to flow downward. But as I demonstrate on this braid here, which will go for the rest of your braids, you want to make sure that when you add hair, hair alternates by coming out of the braid on both sides. So we're going to start by braiding a regular cornrow with extensions like we've done before. You're going to braid about 3 to 5 times and then add your next strand of hair. So I've braided about 5 times to make sure that I release my right hand like I've always done throughout this style. And I'm going to feed that piece of hair right underneath my index finger like you normally do a cornrow tree braid. So I grab my next strand and position the hair in my hands very tightly so that I can have all of the hairs gathered. I go right back up, and then I'm going to pinch that area of open hair underneath my index finger. Let it go. And the hair that's closest to your face that naturally falls down when you let go of your right hand, you're going to push that over to the side. Now you're going to braid a couple of hands until your left hand is free. As you've been seeing, you always want to make sure that your right hand was free for that first braid, but to make sure that they go back and forth by alternating hairs out of your braid, you got to release your right hand and then your left hand and then back and forth. So I'm going to braid a couple of times until I can release my left hand. So now my left hand is free, and I'm going to add another section of hair. So I grab the next section, and you're going to position it in your hands the same way. If you're left-handed, positioning in your left hand may be easier. If you're right-handed, it may be a little bit tricky, but it's completely easy. So you're just going to open that hair up the very same way, and you're going to pinch it underneath your index finger. So you're going to go right underneath your index finger and pinch that area of hair. Now once you pinch it and you have it on your right hand, just let go of your left hand. The hair that naturally falls more forward toward your face, which is this strand, because this strand is further back, you're going to leave this strand to the side and continue braiding. Now as you can see, my right hand is free again. Grab your next section, position it in your hand. In the area that's open there, you're going to go underneath your index finger. Let go, and you see this hair falls forward, so go ahead and move it to the side. If it helps, make sure to keep these hairs clipped with your duck bill clip, or just keep them off to the side. So braid about 3 to 5 times until you can release your left hand again. And then add another strand. So my left hand is free, and I'm going to grab my next section of hair and add it as well. If you begin to notice that your braids are becoming thick, what you can do is make sure to take out a little bit of hair from the leg of your braid. So I'm going to show you, for example, how that looks. So I'm going to wait till my right hand is free to show you. So instead of adding another section of braiding hair, I can pinch off some of this extension hair to serve as a leave out. This will prevent your braids from becoming too thick. So you just separate some of the extension hair. Make sure it's the extension hair only. Use your fingers to help you to separate the hair, and use that as the leave out, and then continue to braid a couple more times. So now here's the left side, and you can do the same thing as well, but if it's a little thin, as you can see here, you can add another piece of extension hair. Continue this same technique until you leave your scalp by alternating different hairs coming out of both sides of the braid. So once you leave your scalp with your cornrow tree braid, you want to make sure that you continue to pull hair out of the braid to complete your look. So when filling in the rest of your braids, remember, you're gonna leave hair that alternates on both sides as you're braiding on your scalp. Once you leave your scalp, you're gonna alternate hairs out of the braid as well. So here you can see I've braided just a little bit off my scalp and I've left out some hairs here. And this is where I place my clip to hold the hair in place so that I can show you how to continue to take hair out on both sides of your braid. Remember, as you leave the scalp with any braid, continue to alternate on both sides of the braid by leaving out extension hair. And I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So when finishing your braid, you want to make sure that you have your clip nearby just in case you need to hold some hair out of the way so it doesn't fall back in your braid. You're going to position your fingers on your braid. You're going to braid about 2 to 3 times. And then you're just going to pinch off a piece of extension hair. Be very careful to make sure that your real hair is not in this extension hair so that you don't leave any of your real hair out of the style. So I'm just going to take off just a little bit of hair and put that directly over my head. If it falls down or gets back in your way, you can use your clip to hold the hair out of place. So braid a couple more times. And you're going to take out hair on the other side of the braid. Just pinch off a little bit, make sure none of your real hair is in it, and pull it right over your head. Or place the clip right on the braid there to stop it from coming loose. But I can just pull that right over. Now you're going to keep doing this and alternating on both sides of the braid until you braid past your real hair. Once you've braided past your real hair, you're going to do a couple of slip knots to prevent the braid from unraveling. Now just to demonstrate, when you braid past your real hair, you have to do a slip knot to stop the braid from unraveling. So what you want to do is grab your smallest leg of your braid, which is this one, and you're going to pinch off an amount of hair that's about this size. And you're going to wrap it around the braid and form a knot. So you just wrap it around and form a knot with that hair. Now you're going to split this hair in half, and now take the smaller piece and form another knot. And then you're going to do it a third time to finish. So you're going to divide that small piece in half once again. Tie the hair around and form your last knot. By doing those 3 slip knots, that prevents the braid from unraveling. And then you have your finished tree braid. So once you finish your tree braid, you're going to comb through this hair, and then you're going to snip off any ends that you see as fit to complete your braid. In this step of the cornrow tree braiding hairstyle, I've taught you how to do the tree braiding technique step by step. When doing this technique, there are some things that you're going to specifically do to certain braids to make sure that you can conceal your braids when wearing it into a ponytail. The braid that's immediately to the right side of your head and to the left side of your head, as well as the 2 braids in the back of your head. When you're adding extension hair onto those braids, you have to make sure that all of the hair added flows downward. So when you wear your hair up into a ponytail, it will conceal your braids. And then for the rest of your braids, when you're adding extension hair, you have to alternate pieces of hair that will come out of your cornrow braid. When you leave your scalp as well, you also do the same technique to all of the braids by alternating hairs that will be left out of the braid as well. So I've taught you those techniques as well as how to proportion your extension hair and part your real hair to begin the tree braiding technique. So continue these techniques until your style is completely finished. And then in the next step, step number 3, I will give you some hair care tips for taking care of your tree braids hairstyle. Welcome to step number 3 of the Cornrow Tree Braids hairstyle. In this step, I will be sharing with you some hair care tips that will apply with your new style to help you to take care of your hair. My very first tip is to make sure that you are cleansing your scalp in braids. If you wash your hair maybe twice a week, once a week, or every 2 weeks, whatever the frequency is that you like to apply when washing your hair, the same thing will go with wearing this Tree Braids hairstyle. So when you are getting ready to wash your hair, make sure to braid your extensions in large size braids or put them into large ponytails. The reason why is because this will prevent your hair from tangling as you concentrate on cleansing your hair and scalp. When cleansing your hair and scalp, you want to make sure to use the shampoo that you normally use when washing your hair. If your shampoo has a watery consistency, this is the perfect consistency to wash with. But if your shampoo is a little bit thicker than that, make sure to place it inside of an applicator bottle with a little bit of water to get it to a very watery consistency. This is very important when using it on your braids because this will help you to effectively cleanse your scalp as well as wash out all of your product with ease. If you take your normal shampoo, especially if it has a thick consistency to wash your hair, it will take you a long time to wash out all of the soap, and a lot of soap will build up on your hair over time and that could lead to breakage. So when washing your hair, wind up all of your extension hair in large braids or ponytails and then use a watery consistency shampoo to wash your hair in braids. My second tip is to make sure that you are moisturizing your hair. When you're wearing this Tree Braids hairstyle, you won't see your hair until you take out your extensions. So it's hard to gauge whether or not you know if you need moisturization or not. And that's why a daily moisturizing tip would be best. So make sure to put your favorite leave-in moisturizer or conditioner into a small travel size bottle with a little bit of water so that it's a watery consistency. The key to keeping your hair very moisturized, clean, and healthy is that when you are caring for your hair, that all of your products are watered down. This will stop you from adding too much product to your hair as well as incorporating all the moisture that you need. So take your favorite leave-in conditioner or your favorite regular conditioner, whichever you like to use, put it inside of a small travel size spray bottle with a little bit of water, and then spray your braids. This will keep your braids moisturized. And then to follow up, use your favorite oil to spray directly onto your braids and oil your fingers to run them down the parts of your scalp. My very last tip that I will offer you is to make sure that your hair is thoroughly dried. When wearing this Tree Braids hairstyle, it's very easy to have a buildup of moisture if one, you sweat a lot on your scalp or you haven't thoroughly dried your hair when washing. Make sure that you're able to dry your hair by using a hooded dryer to sit under until your hair is dry or by using a bonnet dryer to thoroughly dry your hair. Hair that's prolonged with moisture and it's not being dried out correctly or enough will lead to mildew, and sometimes you can tell because it will have a weird smell. So to avoid that, make sure that you're always cleansing your hair, moisturizing, and drying it. So those are all of my hair care tips that you will be using to make sure to take care of your style and your real hair while wearing the Cornrow Tree Braids. In my very next step, step number 4, I will be teaching you how to straighten out your extensions with a blow dryer. Here we are in step number 4 of the Cornrow Tree Braids hairstyle. In this step, I will be teaching you how to straighten your hair extensions with a blow dryer. This technique is the same technique that you would do when doing a blowout. With a blowout, you make sure to use a blow dryer and a paddle brush on wet hair to dry the hair while also stretching it as well. Even though this hair is not wet, this technique is perfect for relaxing the volume of this look. Mind you, with this Tree Braids hairstyle, I am using synthetic hair. So when using synthetic hair, it's always advisable never to use heat. But you can always use very low heat to manipulate the hair to take on more of a flatter or sleeker look. That is why I'm using a blow dryer to straighten out the extensions. With a blow dryer, the heat is a lot less than your typical flat iron. When using a flat iron or a smoothing iron, what will happen is that the heat is usually too hot and it will actually melt your extensions. So to make sure that you can relax the look of the synthetic hair just a little bit, I highly suggest that you use a blow dryer and a paddle brush to do so. So first, I'm going to show you with a very small section in the very front of my head how to blow dry your amount of hair. But when blow drying your hair for a more relaxed or sleeker look, work from the back towards the front to eliminate knots and tangles. When straightening your hair extensions with a blow dryer, I highly suggest that you work your way from the back of your head towards the front of your head. The reason why is because this will make the process a lot more easier for you to do while also stopping a lot of knots and tangles from happening along the way. For demonstration purposes, I will show you at the very front section of my head how to blow dry the hair. I will also be using a wide tooth comb to comb through the hair as well so that I can release any tangles that may be in the hair while using the paddle brush as well to straighten out the section. So I'm just going to use my hands to separate the section I'm going to work on. And it's better to work on sections that are smaller than bigger so that way you can effectively go through the hair. So I'm just going to use my hands to separate a section of hair here. And now I'm going to use clips to keep this hair from falling down. You want to make sure that all the hair is pushed out of the way so that you can effectively straighten that section before you move on. So you're just going to use a couple of duckbill clips or hair ties to keep the hair pinned out of the way. So once you section your hair, you're going to grab a section and you're going to comb through with your wide tooth comb and then go in with your blow dryer and your brush to actually elongate and relax the volume of the hair. By doing this blow drying technique, it's not done to make the hair dry from being wet. It's done just so that it can release some of the volume in your look. So once you've done that, you're going to use your paddle brush and you're going to start about midway on the hair or near the ends, whichever is more comfortable for you. And then when blow drying the hair, test the settings on low, medium, and high to get the desired results. If you blow dry the hair on low, it will relax the texture and make it lie a little bit flatter. And then the higher you go with the setting of your blow dryer, the more sleek and straight the hair will look. Always be careful when applying any heat, especially to synthetic hair, because too much heat will melt the extensions. So to begin, I'm just going to start from the middle and work my way down while blow drying on my medium setting. Now once you straighten out this section to your liking, you will make sure to straighten out the rest of your hair with your blow dryer. Make sure to test the settings on low, medium, and high to achieve the look that you would like. In this step of the Tree Braids hairstyle, I've taught you how to straighten your hair extensions with a blow dryer. Because with this style I have used synthetic hair, I highly suggest that you only use a blow dryer when applying heat to help relax the volume of the hair. I chose to use synthetic Kanekalon braiding hair to do this Tree Braids hairstyle. And because so, the hair is just a little bit too bulky, so it was best to use a blow dryer to help relax the volume of the style. With this style, there's so many options of hair that you can use, which will give you a different result. If you have chosen to use the same exact hair for this style, make sure to use a blow dryer if you want to tame down the volume of this look. So once you finished your entire head, in the very next step, step number 5, I will show you the finished results to the Cornrow Tree Braids hairstyle. And here we are in step number 5, the finished results to your Cornrow Tree Braids hairstyle. Have fun and enjoy your new look. So now that your tree braids are finished, in the next step, step number 6, I will show you how to do 3 very beautiful hairstyles on your cornrow tree braids. Welcome to step number 6 of the Cornrow Tree Braids hairstyle. And in this step, I will be teaching you 3 very beautiful looks you can do with tree braids. The first style we're going to do is called milk braids. This style is also less commonly referred to as milk twist. You will gather all of your hair into 2 ponytails at the very back of your head, twist each ponytail to the ends, and then wrap it around your head like a headband. Use bobby pins to keep your twist in place. So here we are. Here is your first style for your cornrow tree braids. For style number 2, we are going to do a look that is called the braided high bun. You're going to gather all of your hair and put it into a very high ponytail. You're going to split the ponytail into two parts, braid both parts, and then wrap it around the ponytail itself to create a braided bun. So here you have it, style number 2 for your tree braids hairstyle. For style number 3, I will be teaching you how to do the braided headband. You will be braiding 2 small braids on your head. They both will go across your forehead and you will use bobby pins to keep the braids in place. Here is style number 3, the braided headband for your tree braids hairstyle. And there you have it. Those are just 3 very simple, beautiful styles you can do with your tree braids. In the very next step, step number 7, I will show you how to safely take down and remove your tree braid extensions. Here we are in step number 7 of the tree braids hairstyle. In this step, I will be showing you how to safely take down and remove your tree braid extensions. When removing your extensions, you will be using your scissors to only cut the knots that are near the ends of your braids. When taking down the rest of your braids, make sure to use your hands and a comb to guide you. When taking down your tree braid extensions, it's very important that you keep your hair sectioned. When taking down your braids, you want to prevent the other hairs out of your other braids from getting tangled as you're taking down your hair. So just use your hand to separate the hair from your braids, and I'm going to take the braid here furthest to the right side of my head to demonstrate how to remove. So just use your hands and pull your hands through the part of your braid to make sure that for all of the hair that's with this braid, it's going downwards so that you can take down your braid. For the rest of your hair, you want to make sure to use your clips to keep the hair out of the way, or put your hair into a ponytail. Just make sure that all of the hair is very smooth to prevent it from falling down near your braid. So now we're going to focus on this braid here, and we're going to locate the very end of that braid. Once you locate the very end of that braid where you have been securing with your knot, you're going to use your scissors and you're only going to trim that knot. Please do not cut the braid, because it's a chance that you just may cut your real hair. So only cut this knot that you feel here at the end of your braid with your scissors. So I'm just going to slide the scissors underneath the knot and cut. So now just use your fingers to unravel your braid. So now just continue to use your fingers to work near the bottom of your braid and carefully take down your extension. You will notice that as you're taking down your extension, you have to detangle along the way. And that's because you've interweaved pieces of hair as you go. You can't thoroughly speed through your braid because you will have a lot of tangles from the small strands of hair that you've been interweaving into your braids. So use your fingers to gently take apart the braid and slide down any hair that you see is beginning to come down from the braid to prevent it from causing a lot of tangles. Once you reach up closer to your real hair from when you started, from the very bottom of your braid, it's very important that you do not use your scissors anymore at this point, because you can accidentally cut your hair. So as you're dividing the braids, just make sure to slide your fingers down the hair to pull any loose strands that may come down. So as you can see here, by sliding my fingers down as I was braiding, all of the loose hairs that I've added so far were able to slide down. Make sure that as you're sliding down the hair, it's not gathering near your roots, because if the hair starts to gather near your roots, it will create tangles. So just smooth your fingers down to release any strands, as you can see here, that have been added. As you can see, taking down your tree braids is a very easy process. You just want to make sure that you're focusing on one braid at a time, and that you put the rest of your hair in a ponytail or use duckbill clips to prevent your hair from getting tangled. As you're taking down your braid, you're always smoothing your fingers down the strands to release any pieces of extensions that has been added. So thank you so much for watching the Tree Braids hairstyle, and be sure to check out our videos blog and online store at howtoblackhair.com. Thanks for watching.